Okay. Hi, guys. Robert Ciresi here with Ciresi Morek. Today is April 15th. I'm the CEO of Ciresi Morek, a national executive search firm headquartered here in Northeastern Ohio. For nearly a month, I've been creating videos on our YouTube and LinkedIn. And the reason I'm doing so is maybe to help build spirit for those who are looking for assistance. And candidly, like I said, trying to help those who need help. I don't have all the answers. However, I've spent 22 years in search. I've placed thousands of people, and I have access to many leaders within Fortune 500 companies. I'm on the phone with these individuals all day long. Not a lot of hiring is going on right now, as you can imagine. My garage is clean. My basement is next. Maybe my kids' room. I've got some time on my hands, and I thought I'd spend it, like I said, sharing some of my knowledge over the past 22 years in search business. My goal every Wednesday at 4 o'clock is chat to a live audience, kind of like Ask a Headhunter. For years, I've been thinking about putting out a book or just trying to tell people what I do and how to help them find jobs. But I'm doing this, like I said, via video now. Today, I'm wearing a baseball hat, actually my partner West Point hat. I got a haircut from my wife on Saturday. It didn't turn out very well. One side of my head is a little bit uneven, so I thought I'd just wear a hat for a while, at least until summertime. But we took a shot. If you don't try, you'll never know. So, well, we know now she is terrible at cutting hair, but who knows? Let's try it again. So, on Friday, I discussed our survey, the results, recommendations on how to build a strong network. So, we're going to talk about that a little bit today. I got to reiterate: now is not the time just to be sending emails. Now is the time to be picking up phone, talking to people, getting yourself out there. More than ever, now is that time. Like I said, don't rely on just sending an email or text. Pick up the phone and call someone. Introduce yourself. Like I said, take a shot. Before I forget, Ciresi Morek has a newsletter. If you go to our website, Ciresi Morek, if you go to Ciresi Morek / subscribe, you can get our newsletter. And in our newsletter, you'll find job opportunities. So we publish all of our jobs, our new jobs. I think this week alone, we got, like 6 or 8 jobs that I'll be posting here soon. But just tips on interviewing, but we put all in our newsletter. Once again, that's Ciresi Morek / subscribe. Today I want to also talk to you about how to get a job and how to stand out. And I apologize if I keep on referencing. I kind of created my own script to make sure I didn't miss anything, and rather than just ramble, on YouTube. So to give you guys some perspective, what's Ciresi Morek, we get about 500 resumes a week. In doing so, that's about 25,000 a year. So we get a lot of resumes. We only place about 3 to 5% of those resumes, to give you some perspective. But we get a boatload of resumes. We've gotten some great resumes and some terrible resumes. And I know that sounds harsh, but your resume is the first impression that you make with me, a headhunter, potential employer. It's the first impression. I kind of equate it to going on a date and having broccoli in your teeth. Now is the time to spend some time on your resume. And like I said, if you're at home, you're working from home. If you need help, if you don't even know where to start with a resume, shoot me an email. I'll give you some samples. Like I said, my email is rciresi@ciresiandmorek.com. CIRESIANDMOREK. But if you don't know where to start, just send me a note and I'll do my best to I'll get you something just to use as a benchmark. But you got to get your resume up. It's like, get it up to date, clean it up. It's time. So let me talk about going back to our survey a bit. Like I said, we surveyed about 70,000 people at the end of last year. And we asked them a couple questions, and it's kind of pertinent to some things we're talking about today and going forward. One of the questions that we talked about is that when applying for new employment, do you expect feedback on every application? Most of you said yes. About 40% of you expect feedback. Well, it's not going to happen. You're not going to get the feedback that you want. They may acknowledge, or receipt of the resume that you've received, that they've received it, but you're not going to get much feedback. They're not going to do it. You're lucky if you're even getting an email that suggests you've been out or you're being considered. You would be blown away. Little industry secret. These large companies that have these huge ATSs, they're a mess. I mean, your resume is most ATSs, applicant tracking systems. When your resume goes into these ATSs, they're gone. They're garbage. You can't find them. It's like we call it garbage in, garbage out. It's like any system. If you don't manage it well, you're just going to produce garbage. So don't expect that you'll get feedback or follow up, but just trust me. And for those I've placed recently, you'll also know, we actually don't, when our customers, for example, has a posting online, let's say they're looking for a plant manager, not to name names, but when we get the search and they want our help, not until after we've placed that person, after the person's verbally accepted the offer, that we enter that resume into the ATS. So think about that. Our customers most times ask us to input the resume into the ATS simply to generate an offer letter, compared to put the resume in first and then we'll talk to that person. They don't want it. They don't want it in the ATS. It's just messy. So teach you how to get around that a little bit, but wanted to share that with you. Another question that we talk about is cover letters. Do you find that cover letters have value? Most of you said no. I personally don't read cover letters. I speed read resumes. When I look at resumes, I'm looking for the substance of resume. I'm looking for like the meat and potatoes. Who did you work for? What did you do? What was your titles? And what were some of your accomplishments? Then I'll also notice, okay, why is this person, like I said, this is how my brain works. But if I see someone who's had a lot of jobs, I instantly think, what's wrong with that person? If I see someone who has been at the same company for a long time, I think, what's the story here? So, and people are surprised. Like when I get a resume, and I'm interviewing someone, and for those of you who have interviewed with me, when I chat with you, I simply say, hey, tell me about yourself. What are you looking to do? How can I help you? I don't dive into, all the specs of your resume on our first phone call. Absolutely not. I want to know who you are and what you're looking to do. So if I see a pattern, I might say, hey, you've been with this company for 25 years. And my next question might be, how long have you been married? It catches people off guard to ask that question. And they might say, I presume maybe it's less. And I say, you realize you've been with the same company for 25 years, more so than your marriage. So obviously there's a reason you stayed. Why is that? What's motivating you to stay? And hell, what's motivating you to leave? And you might get the answer, hey, I'm looking for opportunity. Well, come on, we try to dive a little more than that. Maybe you don't like your boss or advancement, but I know I'm going shying away from just a cover letter. But that's stuff you can't put in a cover letter. Like I said, that's how I read a resume. I look for the meat and potatoes, and I pick up the phone. I want to know who you are and what you're looking to do. So I will say this, and I apologize. I lost my train of thought here. I think I skipped something, but I simply do apologize because I want to talk to you next about. I think I lost the question. Like I said, I apologize. Well, I'll have to go back to that one because I think I was gonna stress about using a recruiter when applying to a company. I'm sorry. My apologies. If you're not using a recruiter when you're applying for a job, so you're not calling me, you're not calling Joe Smith's, search firm, whatever it might be. If you are applying for a job on your own and they ask you to attach a resume and attach a cover letter, you have to do it. Okay. Don't risk it because that's how they're judging you. And some of my friends and some of my colleagues and so forth who don't do it, that's the game that they're setting up to play, and you got to do it. At least create something. But if the company's requiring you to do it, do it. It could be like I said, that cover letter could be the first thing that ends up in a hiring manager's hand. Like, so you just don't know, but if they're telling you to do it, do it. Like I said, I wrote here, play the game that the employer has created. If the game sucks, well, the game sucks. Find a new game. I always remind customers, we have one customer, and I did not to name names and hope they're not watching this video, but we have one customer who sends out, they want you to do a video assessment, right? we had another customer that, demands you take a 2-hour assessment before you even interview with them. And I'm thinking about that. I mean, who in their right mind has 2 hours to spend interviewing or taking an assessment test? Not to get off subject, but like I said, when you're interviewing for these companies, you got to know what you're getting into as well. It's a two-way process. But like I said, I want to bring that up because, like I said, but if it's the game they created, it's a job you want, you got to play the game, whether it be a 2-hour assessment, a 4-hour assessment, or what have you. This may be redundant, but we talked about a number of pages on a resume, and close to 70% of you said 2 pages, and I couldn't agree more. Your resume should be 2 pages, and I don't care if you're 70 years old and you have 50 years of experience. You got to be able to you got to put it on 2 pages. That in my industry, that is. I don't know. I don't place doctors. I don't place nurses. I don't place financial advisors. But in my industry, you got to have 2 pages. And like I said, if you don't know how to do it, send me a note, give me a call. I'll help you through it. It's not hard to do, but there's a way that to kind of, you got to think about your resume like land, your yard. Let's say you have 2 acres. You got to put everything in those 2 acres. You got to figure out a way. And there's ways to do it. You don't have to. Nobody cares what you did as an intern. But put it on there. Another thing too about resumes, and I hate to go off the subject a little bit, but if you put something on there and it's not true, you're gonna get ruled out. I have a friend. He's a VP of HR, great guy, and I saw his resume, and it was so funny. I tend to notice things on resumes that stand out, and he had put on the bottom one of his hobbies was occasionally golf. Now, I've tried golfing with this guy for 10 years. I've known him. I've never seen him on the golf course, but something like that will stand out with me. So I think going back to being truthful on a resume, if you say you speak Mandarin Chinese and you don't speak Mandarin Chinese, don't put it on the resume. Do you think it's necessary to include your personal information, your address, and so forth? More than half of you said yes. This is what I'll tell you about putting your personal information on your resume. People are kind of scared off by putting your street and your city and so forth. I don't recommend putting your street address on your resume at all. I also don't recommend you putting, if you live in a small town, I wouldn't recommend you putting that small town that nobody's ever heard of on your resume. Maybe, like I said, if you live in a town of 500 people near Indianapolis, put Indianapolis. If you kind of put that area, like I said, if you live in where's my brother-in-law used to live, Trafalgar, Indiana. Well, that's outside of the Indianapolis area, but it's a one-stop light town. Nobody's ever going to hear about it. They don't know why the hell you're even living there. Put Indianapolis. Also, too, if you're looking to possibly relocate to a city, if you're in Indianapolis, let's say you want to move to Charleston, South Carolina. A lot of people are moving. We get asked all the time, hey, give me a job in Florida or South Carolina. Well, if you're looking to get to those cities, put that in your resume. Maybe put, John Smith and put your email address and seeking opportunity in Charleston, South Carolina. But remember, if you're looking for a job in Charleston, South Carolina, but you're also looking for a job in, let's say, Tampa Bay, Florida, you better know which resume is going where. Because I've gotten resumes and people, it blows me away. They'll send me a resume like this, and they'll send me the city they're targeting, and it's not for the search that we're discussing. And I might say, why are we talking about? I want to relocate to Charleston. I said, well, your resume says here, Indianapolis or something like that. But know where your resume is going. Know which resume is out there as well. So as far as personal information, I wouldn't do it. Just like I said, your name, maybe the area in which you live, and phone number. Always put your phone number. Do you prefer a chronological resume, a functional resume, or blended? Most of you said, and this is in my industry, most of you said chronological. Listen, a functional resume, it looks nice. You spend all this time formatting. You might put your picture on there or so forth. God forbid you're ugly and you put your picture on there, you might get ruled out. Stuff like that happens. But if you put chronological resume, it's a keep it clean. A functional resume, it might appear that you're lying, you're covering stuff up. I mean, that's the truth of the matter. I mean, people create these functional resumes to kind of, sugarcoat maybe a lot of jobs. So that's at least my opinion. When searching for a new role, would you rather a recruiter assist you in finding a new role, or would you prefer secure a new role on your own? close to like 85% said they'd rather have a recruiter help them out. And it's funny, I tell my customers this all the time. They don't get it. So many of our customers do such a terrible job, with the onboarding process and the hiring and the follow-up. I mean, we're good at this stuff. But if you're not going to use a recruiter to help you find a job, at least talk to a recruiter, and talk to a good recruiter. Talk to a, open, honest, fair recruiter. I mean, I do this all day long talking to folks. How do I negotiate this? How do I ask for that? I know what questions to ask. I know how to, okay, can you get a sign-on bonus? Can you get money to help with your COBRA? And most companies are going to work with you, but if you don't ask the questions, you're not going to get it. Can I delay my start date? Can I have more vacation? Just simple things like that. I always tell folks, hey, don't turn a notice until your background check is complete. And I'm surprised people say, really, that's what you should do? Of course. There's somebody could have your social security number and you could be, you could be a criminal somewhere in Timbuktu and then it shows up a red flag. I mean, I've seen that happen before. It doesn't happen a lot, but God forbid you turn a notice and your background check's not complete and it shows up that you're selling drugs in LA. I mean, that happens you just don't turn a notice until your background check is complete. When utilizing a search consultant to help find a new role, please rank the factors below and how you measure your search consultant's work. 40% of you said, well, let me go back. The answers, the available answers were, and we listed them from 1 to 5: honesty, follow-up, reputation, finding a role, and secure interviews. 40% of you said honesty, which is your headhunter has to be honest with you. Second was follow-up. Now, I will tell you, we do our best in the follow-up, and people get frustrated with us. We want to place you. We want to find you a new job. We want to be able to have one interview done and make money. But the follow-up piece, and I'll talk about this here shortly. But we do our best to get follow-up. Sometimes our customers, they just don't follow up. And it's very, very hard. They ask you to do search and they disappear. But I'm sure all of you can kind of relate that, it's at your own pace. You want to do certain things, but we do our best as far as follow-up goes. But honesty is absolutely huge. Like I said, I made a note here that I spend more time on the phone advising people on how to get a job versus spending time with customers, identifying new roles. It's this week and last week, I think each day I'm talking to 4 or 5 folks. Hey, what can I do different? Or how's my resume look? Can you help me with my resume? It's taken. That's what I do, like I said, on a daily basis. So going back to, feedback and follow up about customers. So this is, and I'm sure some of you might be a little frustrated right now because you're not getting the feedback that you want, or you're applying for jobs. But this is what we hear. Maybe you've had too many jobs. Maybe your references aren't that great. We talked about it last week. If you're going to give somebody a reference sheet, they better be good. I recently tried placing someone and he gave me a reference letter. The reference letter was 4 years old. 4 years old. And I said, I can't give this to my customer. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, the thing is 4 years old. The guy could be dead. And it blows me away that you gotta, your network, if you're out on an interview, you just gotta send an email, call your references and say, listen, this is what's happening. They might get a phone call. Customers do check references without your permission. Hell, they call guys like me. I get phone calls from people, from directors of HR vice presidents saying, hey, do you know this person? I'm not on the search, but they see that I have, 15,000 LinkedIn connections, and I consistently, hey, do you know this person? What's your take on this person? And, I give them my honest feedback. I just tell them my experience with that person. If I don't know them, I don't know. But if I know that person, I absolutely give them my feedback. But like I said, you might have interviewed terribly, right? There's a reason why so many books are out there on how to interview. Maybe you're too expensive. Hell, I had to rule somebody out because they showed up 5 minutes late. Think about that. I had a vice president level job, and the guy showed up 5 minutes late, and they ruled the guy out. Like I said, you could be the wrong demographic. There's a lot of reasons. Like I said, I could. This is for a whole. I wish I documented all the reasons people got ruled out, and this is ridiculous. Do you feel a search consultant should only share your resume with your consent? 70% of you said yes. which blows me away. That means 30% of you don't give a shit where your resume is going. You got to know where your resume is going. If I don't send a resume without someone's, I get, and this is the new latest trend on LinkedIn. People send me a note saying, "Hey, I saw your job. Can you send my profile?" No, I'm not sending your profile. So my customer has hired me, paying me, 25, 30, 20 to 25, 30% of someone's salary to find them someone. And you just want me to take your LinkedIn profile and send it to my customer. That's not how you do it. Like I said, you got to know where your resume is going. Take a spreadsheet, create a log, know which resume you've got. Just recently, my cousin-in-law, well, he's qualified to be a vice president of operations and a vice president of lean. He likes doing those kind of roles. So I said, listen, if you see a job that you like, tailor your resume towards that. You have the cheat sheet, tailor your resume towards that job. But just make sure you know which resume is going where, just like having an address. But because they're going to interview you, and if they're interviewing the wrong resume, it's going to catch. But it's not a trick or a trade, it's just common sense. Which brings another thing of common sense. We talked about it yesterday. Maybe he's watching today. I don't know. His LinkedIn profile needed work. It was a few years old. That's the first thing we do. In our business, that's the first thing we do. And I can have a whole conversation on how we source candidates on LinkedIn. But the first thing we do is we go on LinkedIn and see someone's background. Does it match up to the resume? Do the titles match up? What's this person look like, right? Good friend of mine used to wear a tuxedo in his LinkedIn picture. I said, get that off immediately. You're like an idiot. But that's a whole other conversation on LinkedIn. But know where your resume is going. It's so important. Do you believe recruiters / search consultants limit your liability exposure in the interview process? 70% of you said yes. So I think what this question is trying to get is, we're there to help you, not only help our customer, but help you navigate the process. Sending a thank you letter, what to wear, how to wear it, what time to show up. Like I said, if I knew one of my customers was such a stickler on time, I would have said, get there an hour early. But that's what we try to do to help you navigate the interview process itself. Which, let me talk about thank you letters. Recently, I had an individual say they didn't want to send a thank you letter after an interview. And we got in an argument. And I'm going to say it was a she, and she was a director of HR, a wickedly smart woman. I mean, really smart woman. And she said to me, well, I don't like reading thank you letters. When people interview with me, I don't like reading them. I said, well, I don't care if you don't like reading them. How do you know if the CHRO, the interview, doesn't like reading them? Oh, good point. She sent the interview. She had an interview. She had a thank you letter, and it catapulted her up to be the leading candidate. Don't presume that you know how somebody else might react. It was dumb. Always send a thank you note. It's appreciative. I don't care if you think they're dumb. Just do it. You're not going to get ruled out because you sent a thank you letter. Only good can happen. Take a shot. Let's see. Do you believe search consultants? I'm sorry, I apologize. And let me talk to you something else real quickly about applying for jobs on LinkedIn. So this is the best tip I can give you today. If you're going to pay attention to anything, don't rely on applying for a job to think your resume is getting into the organization. It's not true. Call a guy like me. Who was it? I spoke to a guy on Friday, and I'm not. This isn't to bash HR or ATSs. And if we're ATS guys, an ATS is simply an applicant tracking system. It takes in your resume, it organizes it. It kind of throws it in a slot and just sits in there, and you can pull from it. But it's like a CRM. It's a system to track resumes. But a guy that I talked to on Friday, I'm not going to place this guy. I'm not going to place him right now. He's a smart guy, a friend of a friend. He's a director of sales in the automotive industry, and good resume, good background, good long history of career history. And I told him, I said, think about this. Who wants to see your resume? And this is really cool. And like I said, we could talk about this maybe next week. Who do you think wants to see your resume? And he says, what do you mean? I said, well, who are your competitors? Who are your competitors out there that you could add value to? Well, I don't know. Let me think about that. Okay, well, think about it. And this guy was a sales guy. I was kind of surprised. So think about who would want to see your resume. So if you design pens for a living, take all your pens and take all the companies that make pens, write them down, and figure out who all the competitors are. So we did that. So then the next thing is, we'll send the resumes to the HR people. Don't do that. Like I said, it's not to bash HR people. I love HR people, but even though they think I don't like them, but take who runs the company. Go to the CEO, go to the vice president, and send them an email. Okay. And send them an email. And I don't send them an email with your resume and cover letter. They get enough emails. Like, God, because I'm listed as a CEO of Ciresi Morek, I get bombarded with more emails that you guys could even believe. But send the person an email and simply say, hey, this is who I am. This is what I did for, this pen manufacturer. I think that if given the opportunity, I could do the same for your company. Would you want to see my resume? Would you want to see something? Most people are going to say yes. Okay. The good people are. Okay. I would. If somebody sent me a note and say, hey, I'm a headhunter looking for a new job, I'm absolutely going to talk to that person. Unfortunately, a lot of folks, and this goes to another subject, but they don't want to interview people. They don't want to hire people. But if you go with ultimately the person who writes the checks and you can give them an idea on how they can make more money, more profitable, streamline a process, some kind of solution, go to that person. HR, and like I said, this is not to bash HR, but sometimes they're more reactive, not proactive. They may not know about a confidential search. I mean, hell, a friend of mine who is in the industry, I said, hey, you should do this. Like, well, they already have that person. Well, what else can you do? If you're a sales manager, can you do something else? If you're an operator, can you do something else? But go to the person, find that person's email address. It's not hard. You go on Google, you type in the company name, you guess a couple times. It's easy to do. You send them an email and you say, and introduce yourself. We talk quickly about ATSs, and you guys would be surprised. I have placed hundreds of people whose resumes are already in ATSs. Think about that. So you might think, okay, they got my resume. Just because they have the resume doesn't mean they read your resume. That's why I said you got to go through the other channels. And now more than ever, you got to do it. And I want to talk to you, and I want to kind of end this here, something else too. And this is very important because right now, I apologize, my bad hair. Sorry about that. The companies right now are going to interview, right? There are companies that are interviewing right now. We have customers that are hiring. And one of the things that I try, with my customers, I have one customer who's interviewed somebody 6 times. Like I said, most people hate interviewing or hiring people. It's very hard. It's very stressful. The ones that love it, you got to be careful with those companies. If they're making you interview 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 times, stay away. They're looking for reasons why you're not a good fit. And candidly, in today's day and age, you don't have time for that crap. If they can't figure out if you're a good fit, 2 or 3 interviews, 5 interviews tops, then they're going to, like I said, that's not a good company. Like I said, and like I said, it's a mutual back and forth. It's like courting or dating, but if they're going to make you take time off of work, 4 or 5 times, it's a crappy company. They're looking for reasons why you're not a fit. So I had some people send me some questions, and I'm going to go over them. And after this, I know we're going over time, but people ask me some questions. I'm going to get to them. And like I said, if you have questions, feel free to type away. But after you apply for a new role with a company recruiter, how many days should you wait prior to follow-up? For recruiters, should you call rather than email? You can call me. I don't know if I can answer it. And it's not because I don't want to answer it. I like to have all my calls scheduled. And it's just not to be, I like if I'm going to take the time to talk to you or vice versa, let's schedule a call, 15, 20-minute intro call. But like I said, and via email, send me an email. I say, Robert, hey, when can we talk? I will get back to you. I promise I will get back to you. But if you call me, it might take me a week to unload my voicemails. I'm better at scheduling phone calls via email. For a company, what is the best way, call or email? Like I said, if you apply for a job with a company, who even knows if they've seen your resume? I tell everybody, don't apply for a job. Just avoid these ads. Do your best. Go through the back door. Send a note to the CEO. What's the worst that's going to happen? Well, this guy sent me an email. Well, if that's the kind of company it is, and they suck anyways. Next question. What are the behaviors you find to be what are the behaviors that you find to be complete turnoff when someone's applying for a role in the company? Like I said, guys, we get hundreds of resumes a week, thousands. I will tell you one thing: if somebody applies to 10 different jobs we have, I'm just gonna throw that resume away. It's garbage. You don't care, I don't care. You're gonna waste my time, then I'm gonna throw your resume away. If you send me a note via email and you say, "Hey, this is what I'm doing. I'd love to talk to you," I will get back to you in a heartbeat. I think I appreciate that kind of honesty and candor. But if you're just going to load up my inbox with crap, then I'm not going to get back to you. But I love someone sending me an email. Take the time to say, "Hey, I saw your website. I saw this job." It's the spam that I throw away. But going back to what are behaviors of finding complete turnoff? People lying that have not used a recruiter. Yeah, guys. In this little tidbit, I was talking to one of my customers today. If you lie to us about a search that you've already been on, and it happens a lot, you're labeled instantly. Like I said, don't lie. My firm is not going to lie to you. If they lie to you, you can call me and I will do everything in my power to kick that guy's ass who lied to you or woman's ass. But we're not going to lie to you. If you lie to us saying, "Hey, I've never interviewed there," or they don't have my resume, and we find if you create egg on our face, well, sorry, we'll never work with you again. If you start off with a relationship with a lie, and then it's going to be more lies and more lies, so we stay away. Or like I said, if you apply for a job, you know what? If you're a good person, we have a relationship, and I can help you, I will contact that company if I have a relationship with them and say, "Hey, this guy applied. You're missing out on this person. This gal applied. You're missing on this person," and you'd be surprised. I mean, it works for both sides. I'm not going to make any money, and I shouldn't. But resumes, they get lost. They really get lost. Let's see. Feedback. How to score feedback. Get the truth about why you are not part of the search. What is considered feedback? Talking about the resume. Talking about what they are and why they're not in the pipeline. Like I said, guys, we give the best feedback. We give the best feedback we possibly can. Sometimes we can't give you the feedback that our customers are giving us because sometimes it's really crap. And sometimes we're not interested. Why not? Because we're not interested. Okay, that doesn't help us. I kind of equate it to making dinner. If I'm going to make you dinner and you don't like it, well, tell me why you don't like it. Some people will tell us why they don't like you overcook the steak, or I don't like this, blah, blah, blah. But sometimes you don't get it. And trust me, guys, the same people who complain they don't get feedback are the same ones who don't get feedback too. So it works both ways. But we do our best. We absolutely do our best. What is the market doing? Are companies still hiring? What industries are doing well? Man, every day it changes. 2 weeks ago, I thought all of a sudden, okay, everybody who makes meat, pork products is doing fantastic. Then they announced that they're shutting down. And this is how they're shutting down the facility. I think it was in Iowa. That was 4 or 5%. I think it was Smithfield. I think. But every day it changes, and I can't tell you which industries are not. I can tell you my smart customers, not to name names, they are getting ready to take off. End of April, 1st of May. You guys see it in the news, but they're, whether it be good or bad, but they're getting ready to launch. They have to. They got to put the people back. People need to work. That's, like I said, that's not to get political. That's my opinion. Are they still interviewing face to face? I actually have some companies that are doing face to face. Now they're doing whatever the state or their city has regulated, which they should. But we still are doing it. The process has slowed though. We're doing a phone call, we do a Skype, we do a disc assessment, then we do another phone call. So as long as you're honest about the communication, what are the steps, and like I said, just tell, if you're going through a recruiter, going through a company, say, "Hey, what are the expectations here? What do you think is going to happen?" If you don't know, you don't know. A lot of people don't know right now. But like I said, just be honest and open to communication, or open and honest about stuff. Next question. When do you think we'll recover? When do you think more opportunities will open back up? If I had that answered, I probably being an island right now. I can tell you this. I feel that this month is critical. I feel that things are turning around. I feel that companies are going to start hiring again, and this is conversations that I have with leaders in my industry. I do a lot in automotive. I think that this is going to blow up, and things are going to turn out to be great. I just think this past month, maybe it's just been an opportunity for us to settle down and kind of slow down. So, but I in my heart of hearts, I'm thinking that first week of May, it's going to open back up. So, well, that's me for today, April 15th. I guess it used to be tax day. I don't know what it's going to be next year. Does anybody have any questions? Feel free to ask me anything. Once again, if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, that would be helpful. You can always find me at rceresi at ceresiandmorek.com. Google, Ciresi Morek, you'll find us. So if you have any questions, like I said, give it a minute. Okay. Well, it's snowing in Cleveland right now, even though it's April 15th. So I am going to head out. Like I said, if you need me, you know how to find me, rceresi at ceresiandmorek.com. Thanks again. Have a great